All right, everybody, ready to dive deep.
Always.
This time, we're tackling a word you use every single day, language. Bet you think it comes straight from Latin, right? Like lingua, meaning tongue.
Oh, yeah. Super common thought.
That's what I thought too. But get this, the real story, it's way more
Yeah, I
complex,
know.
more twisted, like almost a linguistic pretzel.
You could say that.
We're going to be weaving through history and evolution, maybe even touch on some philosophy.
It's going to be a fun one.
So, to kick things off, bust this myth for me. Where does language really come from?
Well, it's easy to think, oh, simple origin, right?
Yeah.
But no. It's intricate, like peeling back layers of an onion.
Okay, so give me those layers. What are some of the leading theories?
We've got a few contenders. One theory, it points to Old French.
Old French, really?
Yeah. Their word, language, it actually evolved from the Latin linguagium.
Linguagium.
Yeah, meaning manner of speaking. It really makes you realize how languages morph over time, don't you think? Leaving those little linguistic breadcrumbs.
So Latin didn't just, like, disappear.
No, not at all.
It's still around.
It morphed into the languages we speak today.
Oh, so Latin is like the grandparent.
Exactly.
And French, Spanish, English, they're the kids.
Think of it like a family tree. It's really neat when you think about it that way.
That's pretty cool.
And you know what's even wilder?
What?
We've got another theory. This one says language goes even deeper. Like way back to Proto-Indo-European.
No, what now?
Proto-Indo-European. It's like this mega ancient root language.
Mm.
And the root, it's BNG, way we, meaning to speak.
Okay, I'm following.
But here's the thing. Proto-Indo-European, it's the ancestor of like a huge language family. I'm talking English, Hindi, Spanish, Russian. Crazy.
Right, so language is connected to all those languages.
If this theory is right, then yeah, we're looking at an incredibly old lineage.
Mind-blowing. It makes you think about, like, how did we even start talking in the first place?
Now you're thinking like an evolutionary theorist, because that's our third contender.
Evolutionary theory.
This one links the word language to, well, human evolution itself. So picture this. You're an early human. You're trying to organize a hunt.
Right. I'm with you.
You can point, grunt a little, but that only gets you so far, right?
It's definitely not having a strategy meeting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But as soon as spoken language developed, boom.
Yeah.
Now you can strategize. You can warn each other about danger. You can pass down knowledge to the next generation.
So language wasn't just about, like, expressing ourselves.
Not just that.
It was about survival.
Essential. A total game changer.
That's incredible. Something we totally take for granted, but it shaped us, shaped humanity.
And you know what else is really fascinating? It wasn't just early humans who were obsessed with language.
It wasn't.
Nope. We're talking ancient civilizations here.
No way.
So they were like thinking the same things we are about where words come from and all that.
Pretty much.
Right.
So the ancient Greeks, for example, they had guys like Plato and Aristotle.
I've heard of those guys. Right. Super famous philosophers. They were debating the very essence of words, like what's the link between a word and what it represents, the concept behind it, deep stuff.
Heavy. And what about those scholars in India? What were they up to?
They were all about Sanskrit. Over 2,500 years ago, they were dissecting its structure meticulously. I mean, they were like the original linguistic analysts, came up with stuff like grammatical genders, which, by the way, influenced tons of languages that came after.
Wow. Ahead of their time.
Definitely ahead of their time.
So we've got three main theories here: the Old French connection, the Proto-Indo-European root, and the human evolution angle. Plus, all these ancient civilizations pondering the power of words. It seems like the word language has been on a wild ride.
Absolutely. A journey that, mirrors the evolution of the word itself.
Oh, that's a good point. Our sources actually traced a pretty fascinating linguistic path. It went from the Latin lingua to Old French language, then Middle English language, and finally, boom, we land at language.
The word we use today.
It's wild to think about. Like, this everyday word has all this history, evolution packed inside it.
It really does.
So, where do we go from here? What else can we unpack about this amazing word?
Well, one thing that really stands out to me is how language went through all these different cultures, different time periods.
Each one leaving its mark.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like each generation shaped the meaning, shaped how it was used.
That's got to tell us something important about language itself, right?
Oh, absolutely. It shows us that language is alive.
Alive.
It's constantly changing, adapting to the people who use it. I mean, think about it. Even in our lifetime, we've seen new words pop up, slang, internet phrases. It's a whirlwind.
True. Language is like this, I don't know, living, breathing thing.
That's a great way to put it. It's constantly evolving,
Yeah.
and it has to keep up with this crazy world around us.
You know, it's funny. We started this deep dive. I thought we were just going to explore one word,
Yeah.
but this has turned into something much bigger.
I think we stumbled onto something pretty amazing.
We have. It's like this huge tapestry of human communication.
Think about it. We're seeing how language connects us to the past, shapes the present, and even influences the future.
And all starting with just one word.
That's the beauty of language, isn't it?
It really is.
It's full of surprises.
It really makes you realize just how powerful language is.
Oh, incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Language lets us share ideas, connect with people. It can even change the world, you know?
Okay, so we've busted that myth about language coming directly from lingua. We've gone through the three origin theories, the Old French link, the Proto-Indo-European root, and then the human evolution connection. And we even, time traveled to see how those ancient civilizations were thinking about language, too.
Right. Remember Plato and Aristotle?
Oh, yeah, those Greek philosophers. Trying to figure out the nature of words, how they connect to concepts. Deep stuff.
And don't forget the Sanskrit scholars in India.
True. More than 2,500 years ago, they were already breaking down language, coming up with ideas that still affect us today.
Amazing, isn't it?
It really makes you appreciate something we usually just take for granted.
For sure.
But you mentioned earlier how language evolved through different cultures, different times.
I did.
Can you give me some actual examples of how that happened?
Absolutely. Let's stick with language itself. Remember how we traced its journey from Latin to Old French to Middle English?
Yeah.
Well, along the way, each culture it passed through kind of left its mark. The pronunciation changed, the context where it was used, even the spelling. It all shifted as it traveled.
So it's like language absorbed a bit of each culture it encountered.
That's a great way to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just language. This happens with all sorts of words. They borrow from other languages, they adapt to new tech, they reflect changing values.
Like all the slang and internet stuff that pops up now, language is constantly reinventing itself.
Exactly. It has to be dynamic. Otherwise, it wouldn't keep up with us, with the world.
It's kind of crazy we started this deep dive thinking it was just about one word,
I know, right?
But it's so much more than that now.
We've uncovered a whole lot more than we bargained for.
Yeah.
This incredible, complex history of how we communicate.
We've seen how it links us to the past, how it shapes the present. It even has this power to influence the future.
It's mind-blowing when you really stop to think about it.
It is. So, as we start wrapping up this deep dive, what's the one big takeaway you want to leave our listeners with?
I think the most crucial thing to remember is this. Language isn't just a label for how we talk. It's part of who we are. It's a reflection of us.
It's part of our identity.
Exactly. It reflects our history, our culture, even our creativity. It's how we express ourselves, connect with others, and understand the world. And here's the really exciting part.
What's that?
This journey, it's not over. Language is still evolving, changing, surprising us. And you know what?
Yeah.
You, our listener, you're a part of that journey.
That's a powerful thought. We're all part of the story.
We are. Every time you speak, write, even think, you're adding to this incredible, ever-changing tapestry of human communication.
So before we sign off, one last question for you. What are your own personal beliefs about the origin of language? Where do you think it all began?
Ooh, that's the question, isn't it? Linguists, philosophers, they've been debating that for centuries, and there's no easy answer. But personally, I think language came about gradually. As our ancestors started interacting with each other and the world in more complex ways.
So not a sudden thing, but more of a slow burn.
Exactly. Over time, simple sounds turned into more intricate systems, and eventually, bam, we get all the diverse languages we see today. Of course, that's just my take.
And that's the cool thing about this deep dive. It's made us ask more questions, and it's changed how we think about language.
Yeah, for sure. Exploring language, it never really ends, does it?
Never. And we can all be a part of it. So listener, as you go about your day, really pay attention to the words you use, the conversations you have. How does language shape your thoughts, your experiences? You might be surprised at what you find.
And who knows, maybe you'll catch the bug. This deep dive, maybe it sparks something. And you'll want to keep digging, keep learning about linguistics, dialects, origins, all that good stuff.
The possibilities are endless, and we're here to help you explore. More deep dives are coming into all the words that make up our world.
So until then, Keep asking those questions, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep loving language.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's it for this deep dive into language, folks. Thanks for joining us.